YouTube, good morning, what's going on? It's your boy Buddha, back in the building for another Last Cloudia news and information video. We've got a lot to cover after last night's live stream, which I just want to say thank you again to all the Buddha fam channel members that came through last night. A lot of you guys gifted subs. Tweacz came in heavy-handed, and it was an incredible event. If you haven't checked it out, the recording is posted up on the channel. But we are going to get a little bit more focused today, deep dive into Vergil's kit. Although we reviewed it last night, there are some details that we got some clarification on in order to understand what he's bringing to the table that much better. A couple corrections I want to make. We'll also go over a recap for the live stream in my next video, so be on the lookout for that. Without further ado, let's dive into Vergil and see what he's bringing to the table. Getting into the animations, Rapid Slash is 8 hits, Judgment Cut is 11, Rising Star is a nice 19 hitter, and Judgment Cut End. We get that nice little CGI, I'm about to sneeze, the nice little pixel art of his demon form, and it's an AoE of 34 hits, baby. Getting into the traits, we have Sin Devil Trigger being the first one. When only one weapon is equipped, no attribute damage plus 30% and damage cap plus 3000. After special, give Sin Devil Trigger buff and remove Doppelganger buff. SDT buff active. When only one weapon is equipped, no attribute damage plus 30,000 and damage cap plus 10,000. And when using a skill can't be interrupted by most attacks. Guys, something that I am just stunned that I didn't notice or pay attention to. There is a period right after the 10,000, which means when using a skill, aka super armor, that is standalone. That is not tied to the SDT buff. So this guy has super armor indefinitely, which just puts him on another pedestal. Moving on to the trait 2, Concentration. Boosts no attribute damage and damage cap per hit to enemy. At 30 hits, max damage plus 50%, damage cap plus 10,000, resets each wave, and whenever attacked, you cut that effect by 4 hits. So as long as he's dishing out 30 plus hit combos, you're going to be able to reach this extra cap fairly easily and damage boost. It's just weird that they gave this 4-hit decrease accumulation of damage and cap, so you'll see it fluctuate as he takes hits. However, he should be able to make up those hits very easily if the boy's got super armor, not getting flinched by hardly anything. So I mean, it's just gonna be crazy. And this is overall damage cap. Pay attention, it's not just like physical or skill damage, it's all damage that he's getting in both of these traits. So yeah, those two distinctions and corrections make this guy sound even crazier than I left off with him last night. Then we have his abilities. The skill 1 Rapid Slash, frontal medium area slashing breakthrough combo attack. As Tweacz explained last night, the breakthrough kind of just is explaining that animation that we saw where he kind of goes behind the enemy and comes back a little bit. Skill 2 Judgment Cut, medium area long range combo attack around the target. We're very, very excited for this. It looks like it's going to be non-line of sight, but of course we still need to test. Skill 3 is Rising Star. Instantly close the gap for a wide area combo attack. We love gap closers. And while the animation wasn't extremely fast, if this guy has super armor all the time, I'm not too worried about it. Special Judgment Cut End. Powerful combo attack to all enemies. We know is 34 hits, just AoE, pretty standard, but it does activate that Sin Devil Trigger buff, so we have to keep that in mind as well. And moving into the ability board, the unlockable skills. First up is a Doppelganger. Use all MP to give unit the Doppelganger buff, which doubles skill hit counts. There are some caveats. Only usable once per quest when only one weapon is equipped and SDT buff is inactive. So don't think you can go quad wielding with him. You do have to only be wielding one weapon, and you have to use this prior to the special being used, or at least for that SDT buff being active. We can anticipate that this SDT buff is temporary upon special activation, so if you do activate the special, use the SDT buffs first and then let it expire. You can still then use Doppelganger, but you do have to use it a bit strategically. Moving on, so who will die first? Until unit defeats an enemy, physical attack damage plus 20%, and that will essentially be active every single wave, right? You load into a wave, before you kill one enemy, you'll have this 20% physical attack damage boost. Moving on to the next wave, it will just repeat. What an unworthy opponent. Damage to non-boss enemies plus 20%, and damage cap plus 6,000. Damage from non-boss enemies minus 20%, so will be useful in a few areas. I know Arena, those are all non-boss enemies, so it'll be nice to get that extra damage percentage and damage mitigation. Damage cap, I don't care who you talk to, it's completely irrelevant in Arena, so don't get too focused on damage cap in Arena, but I'll take the 6,000 extra damage cap for just difficult story stages where the non-boss mobs still have a high HP pool. Moving on to Yamato. Battle start, give a unit STR plus 25% buff until incapacitation. SDT buff active. When only one weapon is equipped is one sword. Physical attack damage plus 30% and damage cap plus 10,000. And the counterpart Beowulf. When physically attacking, enemy defense minus 20% and deal damage. SDT buff active when only one weapon equipped is a claw. Skill damage plus 50% and damage cap plus 20,000. So you might be looking at this saying, you get the choice to either run one-handed claw or one-handed sword. What's nice about these two skills is that the first sentence in both of them will always be active as long as they're turned on, regardless of which weapon you have equipped. And they're very nice abilities. But when it comes to what weapon you want to use, there will be some, I'd say, reasoning to use some swords versus a claw. With a sword, you get the boost to his normal attacks as well, with it being a physical attack damage boost, but only half of the damage cap that's available via the claw, so it'll be interesting to see. We're going to be taking a look at how the numbers are with a claw versus a sword, so that should be interesting. However, just know it's basically one or the other. Clothes Mega Boost. Clothes equipped, defense in mind, plus 10%. Physical damage taken minus 10%, and physical attack damage plus 10%. I will absolutely take it. Armor HP plus, when armor is equipped, HP plus 10%. There was a little back and forth between Tweacz and myself about if this just means when the armor slot is filled with an armor piece, or if that you need a specific piece that is the armor category. A bit confusing because when you're looking at equipments, the armor slot can be composed of either clothes, robes, or armor. So there is two ways to identify the word armor in this game. However, this morning in some Reddit comments, I saw Tweacz saying that armor HP plus 2 is counting anything that's in the armor slot. So I don't know, maybe if he reached out to Lake and got some confirmation there, but I did want to share that information. So these two skills are not counteracting each other. They still work together as long as you're wearing clothes. And then looking at the skills that he comes with: attack up max, fighting spirit 4, heroism up 3, critical up 3, proud force, advanced aim vitals, auto critical, auto haste, ardor, illusion, pose of glory, double impact, focused will, blessed speed, quick trigger, favored sword, doppelhander, two-handed claw, no attribute attack raise 2 and 3, no attribute critical raise, giant killing 2, instant strike, indomitable spirit, and decoy. The dude's kit is stacked. Many people are already crying because this man doesn't have any slayers. He's not like my shift BEYLAND with the 2-group slayers. Oh no, what are we gonna do? I'm just gonna tell you now, it's not going to matter that much when you have the right stuff on him. I'm talking more endgame. Yes, the group slayers definitely help casual players who are missing a lot of tools just reach those consistent damage caps easier, giving you that illusion that your shift BEYLAND is just the king, he's the GOAT. And if that's how you want to play Last Cloudia without much thought and without much effort, then of course shift BEYLAND is going to be your best character, because you have to put in the least amount of work to make him shine. This guy, while in extremely difficult scenarios, high defensive scenarios, you'll want to still make sure you have the right slayers equipped. But when you do approach a more endgame status and you're able to build this guy out, I think the performance is going to shock everyone. Day one, Tweacz is going to drop some content that I think is going to make you think, oh, wait, my Shift BEYLAND's not the best character anymore? But, of course, we'll just have to wait and see until in-game testing. Let's continue. We have the LR Ark introduced. Duel at the Ark trait boost physical attack damage based on how much unit HP is left. Now, of course, they didn't tell us if that scales with more HP or less HP, but you get up to 25% physical attack damage, depending on however that scales. Fire, no attribute special damage, plus 40%. Physical attack and special damage cap plus 1500. 2 enemies with the same type as unit. Sorry, I read that a little wonky. But it's very much a trait that's tailored to the exact lore that's going on in the artwork of this arc. So not great, not going to be using it on anyone, but very beautiful to look at. Learnable skills, we have Fate. Physical attack damage plus 15% to enemies with same type as unit, as we discussed last night. This is a very interesting skill. Depending on how much SC this skill costs, to then be able to just get that 15% extra damage for 2 SC, depending on the mimicry that's needed, can be a very nice boost for a very effective SC cost. Whenever you're thinking of builds and which skills are best, you want to try and think of which skills are giving you the best SC saves for the effect that they're giving. Auto speed, continuous speed effect, again, we'll have to see the SC cost on this, but fast speed is so superior with it being 1 SC. It's just not a burden on your SC builds that it's great, but auto skills are always a lot more expensive, so I don't know if speed is going to be that warranted depending on how much SC it costs. No attribute critical raise, no attribute attack critical rate plus 5%, critical strength plus 50%, which is just nice that we're having this available as a teachable skill. These critical raises are 12 SC, and in my eyes, they just give you a 5% crit rate because at end game, critical power, it's not relevant because you're already capping with your white skills. We also have critical, which is the castable crit buff spell. Horrible, horrible that they're putting this on Ark still. Skill charge 3, though, is not bad for those who don't have Bell Tower. A lot of people are going to start off as new players with this collab rerun, so getting skill charge 3 with this Ark won't be a bad move. And attack up max is also available, which also kind of stinks because that's very available, very easily accessible on an R Ark Geist Mountain, so not super stoked at it, but it is what it is. Fate is basically the winner here, I would say. And then looking at the AER, this got some people excited upon first glance, but I'm going to rain on your parade. We have the Dark Knight Sparta. It's a 6-star sword, no attribute associated. The trait slightly boost physical attack damage based on INT. Now with that trait, everyone thought of the science flag from the Dr. Stone collab, and that weapon is very, very potent because it gives a Thaumaturgy Ring Plus effect, which is essentially taking 30% of your INT stat and adding it to the calculation that determines your physical damage output. Now that's going to be kind of confusing for people who don't really know what's going on, but just know it's a significant increase to the amount of damage you can do. With this trait, this says slightly boost, and whenever they include the word slightly, it is extremely decreased compared to other effects that just say boost or greatly boost to that effect. So Tweacz estimated this is probably going to be a 10% calculation from INT to physical attack damage, which is just nothing to get too excited for. But it kind of makes sense because it's a 6-star item, and I'm not expecting the world from anything less than 7 stars. Stats STR 170 and INT 123. And that's about all we're getting. So the AER, nothing special to talk about here. Like I said, this arc seems very, very lackluster aside from that Fate skill. But of course we have to see SC costs, all those types of things. And last, Cloudia, X-Devil May Cry. Let's have some fun, Vergil. We also have young Nero coming as these Part 2 units. So it'll be very exciting to get his info in the following weeks. But we have a treat coming with Vergil, it seems. Very, very, very exciting. So, without further ado, let's jump over to Tweacz' unit summary to get his further thoughts, a bit more clarification on questions that we had last night, and see what exactly those numbers look like. Of course, you can access this summary on the Reddit. Tweacz posted up, and it always has great reception, so should be very easy to find. We'll go ahead into the browser source so we can read things a bit easier. We have the very, very nice portrait of Vergil and his awesome looking sprite work. Very, very excited to get him on the account, and yes, we are dropping our crystals on this man, no doubt. So, looking at the traits, I'm not going to read through these again, but we do have some trait notes. I'm sorry if it's hard to read. I think that's... Oh, no, there we go. Here's a nice zoom in. Goodness gracious. So, trait 1 notes from our boy Tweacz. Single-wheeled focused unit. No surprise he's getting buffs for it here. SDT seems to be an activated buff after he uses his special to unlock not only his trait 1, but also some other unique passives within his kit, Yamato and Beowulf, which are very lore-centric for those who are confused. Why can he do a sword or a claw? You have to play DMC to understand. We'll need to see how long this buff lasts exactly. They gave him super armor. Yes, both of us thought this was a temporary thing with the SDT buff last night. No, no, no. It's very much separated and its own thing. Need to test if SDT needs to be activated for this to work. I mean, he says that, but I'm pretty positive we know the answer. The period is a very strong symbol in Last Cloudia descriptions, so I think that we can hope for the best. Trait 2 notes, basically like a sort of combo master effect. Crazy damage potential and cap when constantly attacking the enemies. 30 hits is really not a high hit count, especially with Doppelganger activated. Yeah, no kidding. So I expect this to be an almost constant boost, even if getting hit, which is definitely awesome. Scrolling down to the innate single-wield damage caps. So you can see with his base, trait 1, trait 2, favored sword doppelhander or two-handed claw. No attribute attack, raise 3, giant killing 2, and or 6,000 to unworthy non-boss enemies. I like that. We're looking at base caps without Sin Devil trigger of about 42,000 against bosses and 46,000 against non-boss enemies, which I'm not mad at that at all. When we have Doppelganger added, right, we have to double the hit counts. Originally, we've got 8, 11, 19. With Doppelganger, we've got 16, 22, and 38 at a respective 41,600 damage plus. Remember, these are base caps, y'all. Think of your dual wield units when they're doing their dual wield hits close to 40k, how much damage you can get. And that's just what this guy is doing at base with the Doppelganger buff. It is a 30-second buff. This was confirmed by Barleen. So, yeah, sheesh is exactly right. If we scroll over a bit, we can see with Sin Devil Trigger activated. Remember, it can't work with Doppelganger, and it's activated after using a special. We get another 10,000 from trait 1, and we can get either 10,000 when using a sword with Yamato, or 20,000 with Beowulf using a claw. Here you see the breakdown, about 62,000 to 66,000 with the sword. Remember, this is boss and non-boss. And 72,000 to 76,000 with a claw. Yeah, that's not bad at all. Going from, you know, double hits of just over 40,000, and then you can just pop a special and jump up to close to around 70k per single wield hit. Not mad at it at all. And this is all base, y'all. This is with no cap assistance, no offensive support, no extra cap skills. You can start thinking of what we're about to experience with this guy. Vergil summary. Is this too close? It is. But I'm just going to read it anyway. Holy crap. My kind of guy. I know that Doppelganger and SDT are both limited time buffs, but I love burst damage. He seems extremely strong for a non-attribute attacker. Skills seem fast. Good movement, just a very fun unit. I can't wait to use Doppelganger for 30 seconds. Can probably be extended by buff duration, guys. Keep that in mind as well. Arcs and accessories, and spam his skills that do massive damage with double hits. It does seem nutty, Tweacz. Sin Devil Trigger seems very solid too, as he gets some really high consistent caps after his special. Super Armor. Some very cool strats with Gwar incoming, and most likely, I would have to agree. And again, he's tying the super armor to the SDT being active, which I think is safe because, of course, we need testing, but I'm telling you, that period shouldn't be ignored. Gonna be really fun to test him. Y'all know how much I love going brrr. Indeed, Tweacz, indeed. Looking at his other notes, he's just talking about how Fate should work with mimicries, and honestly doesn't seem that great in regards to Dark Knight Sparta Sword, but oh well, it's usable for those who are lacking, and it's definitely a sword that can be used in the Maze of Tartarus when you need every piece of equipment that's available to you. So very, very interesting stuff we can see in this Vergil summary. Of course, if you want to see this for yourself, the link will be in the description. Thank you to the homie Tweacz for the clarification. And guys, I think I'm going to wrap up the video there. Thank you so much for the support y'all showed with joining the Buddha fam. Consider joining. $2 a month. Hit that join button below for more details. Like, subscribe, turn on the bell notification so you don't let the algorithm tell you when to watch my videos. You won't be out of the loop in case of crucial information. And with all that being said, y'all know what we say. Work hard, play hard. See you in the next video.